Picture this. The city is loud, your inbox is louder, and somewhere between the ping of a message and the smile you force at a meeting you didn't need to attend, you realize your life has been rented out in 5-minute slices. You shut the door, kill the lights, and for the first time all day the world stops negotiating with you. That silence you feel, that is not emptiness, that is territory. Nietzsche called it becoming who you are, which sounds poetic until you see the bill. Solitude is the workshop where you hammer identity into something that doesn't wobble when the herd pushes. So here's the brutal lesson: being alone, on purpose, for long enough to hear your own signal through the static, makes you untouchable. Not harder to reach, harder to move. Attention begs, status decides. If you crave a life that is respected instead of crowded, this is the video you watch to change how you build your days, your edges, your alliances, and your results. If that resonates, do the quiet thing right now. Tap like so the algorithm doesn't bury this, and drop the word frame in the comments as a public commitment that you'll claim the frame at least once tomorrow. Consider that your first rep in the dojo. The problem we're really solving isn't loneliness, it's leakage. Your time leaks from 100 hairline cracks, a calendar link anyone can book, a quick question that's never quick, a reflex to answer before thinking, because responsiveness has been missold to you as respect. Nietzsche would call this herd default behavior, virtues invented by the crowd to keep you available to the crowd. The frame of your life gets colonized by everyone else's urgency. So the first move is to understand what solitude is in this channel's language. It's not isolation, it's sovereignty. Sovereignty means the frame you carry into any room isn't rented, you own it. Owning it looks like this: your priorities are legible to you, your boundary costs are visible to others. Your presence is occasionally scarce, but your work is consistently undeniable. You don't need to shout because your artifacts do the talking. You don't need to chase because optionality lets opportunities chase you. You don't need to prove because results create their own gravity. Solitude is the lab where these properties are built. Let's get practical. Imagine your day like a territory with borders, checkpoints, and a treasury. Time is the land, attention is the currency, energy is the military that defends it. When you keep the border open to every traveler, you don't become generous, you become invaded. The sovereign frame starts by setting 3 non-negotiables. First, 1 block per day where you are literally unreachable except for true emergencies defined in advance. No ping me if it's important vagueness. Name the block, protect it with a calendar event titled Deep Work, Do Not Schedule, and pin a shared rule. Emergencies, customer outage, legal risk, financial loss, REX. Everything else, async. Second, a response latency standard that turns speed into a signal of priority rather than a personality trait. I respond same day to executives and customers, 24 to 48H for internal, 72H for FYIs. Discipline the inbox so it mirrors your values. Third, a weekly audit called the frame ledger. List what you finished, what you moved, and what you ignored without guilt. The act of writing these lines in solitude trains you to see yourself as an actor rather than a reactor. Quietly, your posture changes. A lot of your fatigue is the crowd tax, the hidden price you pay for being constantly accessible. Nietzsche drew a hard line between the creator and the crowd. Creation requires the air of distance. The crowd will always reward availability with attention, and attention feels like oxygen when you're starved, but it's cheap oxygen. Bright, fast, gone. Status works differently. People respect what has weight, not what is loud. Every yes that costs you a morning subtracts weight. Here's how the crowd tax shows up. You're in 3 group chats where someone else's stress flows into your thumbs. You accept meetings without an agenda because you don't want to seem difficult. You read messages like they're commands and treat your time like it's communal property. The fix is philosophical and mechanical. Philosophical: you refuse to confuse being liked with being valued. Mechanical: you introduce the agenda or async standard tomorrow morning. Scripted exactly. Happy to help. To do that well, can you send the clear outcome and the 3 decisions needed? If it's just status, I'll send a memo. No meeting needed. You've just shifted the cost of ambiguity back to the requester. That's not rude, that's economics. When the crowd wants free labor, It frames generosity as virtue. When you move to status, you frame clarity as respect. Boundaries aren't lines you draw in the sand and hope people read. Effective boundaries have a visible cost to cross, and that cost must be fair. Think of edges, not walls. Edges are the places where your territory meets theirs. You want friction, not fight. Use a 3-tier script system. Tier 1 is no with help. I want to help. To do that, here's what we drop or delay. You keep it warm, but you make the trade explicit. Tier 2 is no with swap. I can't make Thursday. If we move it to next Tuesday with a decision ready, doc, I'm in. You shift the time and raise the bar. Tier 3 is no with standard. I don't commit without clear owner, deadline, and criteria of done. Send those, and I'll confirm within 24 age. This one is a filter. 30–50% of requests disappear when accountability appears. Delivery matters. Whisper authority means you don't over-explain. Keep sentences short. Silence is punctuation. And keep your body still when you deliver the no. Movement reads as uncertainty. In rooms where politics simmer, people push because your edges aren't costly. After 1 month of these scripts, notice how urgent people learn to think before they ping you. Your edges taught them. Scarcity is a lever you pull, not a personality. If you turn yourself into a ghost, you lose sway because people can't rely on you. But if you are infinitely reachable, you lose price because people stop valuing your time. The balance is scarcity windows. Predictable pockets of absence you design to create optionality, and visible pockets of presence you maintain to sustain trust. Think Tuesday and Thursday afternoons as open office hours, where you answer fast and help generously. Think mornings 8–11 a.m. as blackout deep work, where the door is closed and your phone is asleep in another room. Set your status line to something like heads down 8–11, office hours 2 to you 3–4:30. If it's urgent, write urgent plus impact on customer, time, and I'll triage. Now scarcity becomes a structure, not a mood. Optionality grows when your calendar isn't a charity. You want an option to take a high-leverage call, to switch projects, to say yes to something asymmetrical. You can't do that if your day is fully booked with polite obligations. One practical play. Make your Fridays ship day. No meetings, no new inputs, only outputs. Documents, dashboards, design notes, decisions. When people learn that Fridays produce artifacts, they adjust upstream behavior and come prepared earlier. Scarcity worked. Whisper authority is the opposite of performative leadership. If you need to announce your power, you don't have it. Authority whispers via 3 signals: latency, cadence, and density. Latency is how long you wait before reacting. Cadence is the rhythm of your words and decisions. Density is the ratio of substance to sound. Increase latency by installing a 2-beat pause before answering anything emotional. Breathe, count 2, then respond. It looks trivial, it saves careers. Fix cadence by speaking in triangles: premise, choice, consequence. Traffic is down 12%. We can double content, fix onboarding, or streamline the offer. I vote we fix onboarding because time to value drives retention within 30 days. Density increases when you replace adjectives with numbers and next steps. And use the speak last rule in meetings you lead. Let others collide, then tie the thread. I'm hearing 2 paths. Path A optimizes revenue, Path B optimizes margin. Our constraint is headcount. Given Q3, we take Path B for 60 days, then reassess. You sounded calm because you had edges. People stop trying to pull you into every debate because the frame you set at the start already contains the debate. Your low volume becomes gravity. Night is where you build the power that looks effortless in daylight. Call it the night dojo. It's 45 to 90 minutes you defend like treasure. The structure is simple. 15 minutes to clear noise, 30 to carve depth, 15 to harden the body, and whatever remains to read things that outlive the week. Clearing noise means closing the open loops that bleed quiet. The one email you owe your boss with the decision they need. The 2 tasks you won't do and must delete. The calendar reshuffle to protect tomorrow's deep block. Depth means writing. A single page that answers 3 questions. What did I advance? What did I avoid? What deserves a decisive move? You'll be shocked how often avoid masquerades as busy. For the body, do something brutally basic. Push-ups, a weighted carry, a brisk walk with your phone in airplane mode, or a short lifting circuit. You're building a nervous system that doesn't flinch at pressure. For reading, pick one voice that challenges herd morality defaults. Nietzsche, Marcus Aurelius, Jung if you want to track your shadow habits, and track the ledger. Tally slave reflex moments, where you chased approval, and sovereign acts, where you enforced your edge kindly. If the ratio flips towards sovereign over a month, your career compounding rate will too. Quiet nights create loud results. Alone doesn't mean isolated from allies. It means selective about them. The alliance ledger is minimal by design. You choose 3 levers: a sponsor who can open a door you cannot, an operator who can execute when you're at your limit, and a craft exemplar whose standards keep you honest. You don't need a social circle. You need a triangle. Each gets a clear value exchange. With a sponsor. Here's my quarterly artifact you can forward without babysitting. In return, I want one piece of directional feedback. With an operator. I'll design the system. You own the runbook. We split wins publicly. With a craft exemplar, I'll send you my memo once a month. Kill it with notes. I'll do the same for yours. This ledger prevents lonely arrogance. Solitude can curdle into isolation if untested. Rule 7. This changes how you enter any room. Says you carry your own room with you. Allies don't crowd that room. They strengthen its walls. You walk into a negotiation not as a single atom but as the tip of a quiet triangle. You don't have to posture because your sponsor's shadow lengthens your reach, your operator's rigor backs your promises, and your exemplar's taste sharpens your decisions. The crowd sees one person. The room feels a structure. Opinions are cheap. Artifacts are heavy. In the economy of respect, weight beats noise. If you're tired of being talked over, stop competing on volume and start competing on artifacts. A one-page decision memo with a simple structure: problem, constraints, options, decision, next steps, will outmuscle 30 minutes of "I feel like." A product spec with a simple diagram turns arguments into edits. A dashboard that updates weekly kills gossip because numbers don't take sides. Build a habit of shipping something that can be forwarded without you. That's the test. If your work needs you in the room to make sense, your status is tied to your vocal cords. If your work stands alone, your status scales while you sleep. Try this play. Whenever you feel misunderstood, don't defend yourself. Build an artifact that makes the misunderstanding irrelevant. Got labeled not strategic? Draft a 2-page strategy note with trade-offs, risks, and a 90-day plan. Got sidelined from a meeting? Send the decision support memo the night before. You are not fighting people. You are changing the environment in which their judgments are made. Machiavelli would nod. Power lives where the process is set. Build the process or someone else will. There's a set of common errors that will sabotage everything we've built, and they're predictable. The first is the nice guy without edges. You deliver, but you never price your time. You end up loved, not advanced. The fix is deciding on a default, no with help, and practicing it until your mouth can do it under stress. The second is confusing attention with status. You accept panels, committees, Slack groups, and espresso chats because they make you feel visible, but none connect to leverage. The fix is a weekly ledger line called glare versus weight. If it shines but doesn't move anything, decline. The third is over-asceticism. You mistake solitude for purity and become brittle. The team stops inviting you because you look like you'll say no to everything. The fix is designing office hours and using them generously. Help people in tight little bursts. Train them to come prepared, and you'll be seen as useful, not absent. The fourth is performative boundaries. You preach deep work, but your phone owns your limbic system. Move the phone physically. Put it in a different room during your deep block. If it's within reach, your willpower will lose. The fifth is artifact perfectionism. You never ship because it's not perfect. We ship to learn. We perfect after the market talks. Whisper authority accepts dents as long as the wheel turns. This all sounds lofty until you watch it suddenly change your everyday scenes. You're in a status meeting. It's ballooning. 7 people are circling the same problem. Old you tries to win with wit. Sovereign you takes 2 beats, then says, let me reduce this. Our constraint is time. We need a minimum viable decision. Option 1, patch, low risk, low upside. Option 2, rebuild, high upside, high time. Option 3, hybrid, test on a cohort. Given Q3, I propose option 3 with a 2-week checkpoint. Then you stop talking. The room relaxes because frame finally appeared. Or you get a DM. Quick call. Old you jumps. Sovereign you responds. Can you drop the goal and the 3 bullets? If it's urgent with customer impact, I'll hop on now. Otherwise, I'll send a doc in 2 hours. Half the time, the call vanishes, replaced by a paragraph you can solve in 5 minutes. Or a coworker tries to widen your scope without permission. Can you also handle the partner rollout? Old you wants to please. Sovereign you uses. No with standard. Happy to consider. Who's the single owner? What's the deadline? What's the definition of done? Send that and I'll confirm by tomorrow. If those don't arrive, your load didn't grow and you didn't become the bottleneck. Status without noise. People ask, won't being alone make me cold? Only if your solitude is empty. Fill it with craft, with training, with artifacts that serve. Stoics weren't cold. They were precise about what they controlled. Jung wasn't asking you to drown in your shadow. He was asking you to meet it so it stops running your life on silent mode. Bourdieu would remind you that fields have rules. Status is the game of converting different forms of capital: cultural, taste, craft, social, alliances, economic, results, without screaming. Your solitude is where you stock the warehouse. Then you step into the market and trade without anxiety because inventory is real. The respect you want? It is not granted by slogans. It is sensed when people feel the weight of your preparation. Let me give you a daily protocol you can start tomorrow because this channel doesn't sell inspiration without instruction. Wake up and open with a single question on paper. What is the one artifact that, if shipped by 5 p.m., would make today undeniable? Underline it. Protect a 90-minute block before noon to move that artifact by at least 80%. Phone out of the room, headphones if it helps. Door closed. Every time you feel the itch to check anything, say out loud, back to the artifact, and keep typing. After lunch, do 2 25-minute bursts of service. Help others, clear tactical items, return messages, but do it inside the office hour window so you don't free-range your availability. Late afternoon, review the artifact and either ship it or schedule the next step. Do not end the day without closing the loop. Evening, run the night dojo. Clear 3 open loops, write 1 page of depth, move your body, read something that outlives your feed. Before sleep, write 1 line under the ledger. Sovereign act of the day, and herd reflex I resisted. You just turned your day into a training ground instead of a reaction reel. Now the measurements, because what you measure becomes your behavior under pressure. Track 4 numbers for the next month. First, interruptions reduced. Count how many times you were pulled off the artifact block. Aim to cut it by 50% in 2 weeks. Second, time to decision. Measure the hours between receiving a clear proposal and giving a yes/no. Aim for under 24 hours when criteria are met, over 24 when they're not. Latency is a tool, not a tick. Third, artifacts shipped. Log 1 forwardable artifact per week minimum, 3 if you want compounding. Fourth, boundary scripts used. Tally every no with help to swap to your standard you deliver. The goal is not a high number forever. It's a high number early that normalizes expectations so the number can drop later. For energy, track sleep start times and whether you moved your body. For psychology, track the ratio of sovereign acts to herd reflexes. If your metrics worsen when your schedule fills with meetings, that's not a moral failure. That's a signal your territory is being reinvaded. Adjust calendars, not identity. Because many of you appreciate a concrete 7-day challenge, here's the micro protocol. Day 1. Claim a 90-minute deep block and physically remove the phone. Ship a half-baked artifact by end of day to break perfectionism. Day 2. Install the agenda or async standard on any meeting request and deliver 1 no with help script. Write down the result. Day 3. Run office hours for 60-90 minutes and move 3 people forward quickly. Log the questions that repeat and turn them into a mini FAQ you can paste later. Day 4. Night Dojo at full length. Write the 1-page, what I advance, what I avoid, what needs a decision, and send 1 decisive note to an executive or stakeholder, short, triangular, with a proposal. Day 5. Build or update a dashboard that kills gossip in your world. Share the link with your sponsor and operator. Day 6. Choose your triangle. Identify sponsor, operator, exemplar. Write and send each one a clean value exchange note. Day 7. Ship day. No new inputs, only outputs. Release the artifact that makes next week lighter. Metrics for the challenge. Number of artifacts shipped, 2. Boundary scripts used, 3. Meetings declined or converted to async, 2. Night dojo sessions, 3. Sovereign versus herd ratio written nightly, 7 lines total. Post your results publicly in the comments with the word EDGE so the dojo sees you did the reps. There's a quiet identity shift that happens around week 2 of this work. People start saying you seem calmer, not because life got easier, but because you now treat chaos like weather. It can rain. Your house doesn't flood. You aren't cold. You are clear. You don't bark. You set the frame, and rooms organize themselves around it. Nietzsche's brutal lesson isn't to hate the crowd. It's to outgrow your dependence on it. The herd will always invite you back with warmth. Praise is the softest leash. Smile, visit, help inside your windows, then return to your territory and build. Your career will begin to feel less like a corridor of approvals and more like a workshop where you craft things that carry your name without needing your mouth. That's untouchable, not above people, beyond the push and pull of their momentary storms. If this helped, mark the commitment. Type frame, if you will claim 1 deep block tomorrow. Type clock if you'll defend the night dojo 3 times this week. Type edge if you'll run the 7-day challenge and post your metrics. Share this with one colleague who is drowning in meetings. The person who doesn't have time is the one who will gain a life from this. Subscribe for the next piece in this series on Whisper Authority Under Fire. And before you close the app, do the quietest, most radical thing. Put 1 meeting on trial, delete it, and use that recovered hour to build an artifact that speaks for you. Solitude isn't empty. It is where you become heavy enough that noise cannot move you.